to share with you tonight before we take some time and give some advice to Jen and Matt. But I'd like to introduce Megan Parrish. Megan, we heard first sing in Joseph, the amazing color Dreamcoat, I guess. And it was just fabulous. She was one of the stars in there, and we love her voice, and it's a real privilege to have her in our home tonight to sing to us. So, Megan.
You love LA, we've got nothing in common, they say. Oh, what a pair, it's like Rogers without a stare. But when we're dancing, it's just more than I can bear. First I hear those violins, then the world breaks out in silly grins, then we fly to the sky above. So I'm afraid this must be red ball that we put on your nose so you look like Rudolph? Yeah, I know. Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. That nose is worse than a zit. That I loved you. You said that it was good. You told me that you loved me too, and that you always would. But now that she is dating Matt, I felt us drift apart. Now every step she takes is like a stomp upon my heart. You mean she stomped upon your heart? Yeah, she smashed that sucker flat. She just sorta stomped on my aorta. Started dating Matt, and then I felt us drift apart. Now every step she takes is like a stomp upon my heart. I'm sorry for keep doing. I didn't know you guys knew each other. I'm really sorry. Oh, I only hope that one day you'll get the low-down blues, and in some messy kitchen you look down at your shoes. When I think about Mark's tender heart, and you stomp beneath those soles, and with your blood stomp and stompers, you left my heart all full of holes. You just stomped upon his heart. Yeah, you smashed that sucker flat. You just sorta stomped on my aorta. Started going out with Matt, and I felt us drift apart. Now every step she takes is like a stomp upon my heart. Oh no. Considering the situation, I just don't think I can go on with the show. Marky, I'm sorry, but I can probably take it from here. I guess I'm gonna have to let you. Oh no.
Before we all leave, we can take a few minutes and when our time has come, we will be as one. God bless our love. God bless our love. And then the other poem that Jessica and I like is by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee? How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach, when feeling out of sight for the ends of being an ideal grace. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need, by sun and candlelight. I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs, and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. And if God choose, I shall love thee better after death. And so Jesse and I want you to have this book, and we hope in the evenings you can read each other poems and enjoy the art.
Thank you so much.
You're
elaborate a few things, but I think Matt's already conquered the love potion and Dr. Pepper. I think he figured that one out. But I read once, and I just paraphrasing here somewhat, but that marriage is like a pair of scissors in that they work best when there's separateness along with togetherness. But I think the beauty with you two, and I feel like I've been with you since the beginning, and it's been wonderful. But I feel like the beauty is that you have overlapped, and I just see this mesh where the two of you, and I want this so bad in the future. I'm not saying tomorrow. Calm down. Just in that you both have made each other's weaknesses strengths. I just think it's beautiful, and I just wish you the best. I love you both so much. I just hope for it in the future for myself.
Well said.
Well, I never wanted to plan anything, so I'm usually by the women my seat. So before I say anything, and I'm not sure if I get a chance to say this, I'm the only black sheep of the family. I don't get to live in Utah and see the two of you as much as I wish I could have. Gosh, Jen, you're an amazing person, beautiful outside and inside, and I think Matt is probably one of the luckiest guys to. I didn't think he'd do half as good. And but Matt, you've come a long way. I think.
That's an understatement.
No, I'm only kidding. I think deep down inside, Matt, I know we've never really seemed to be in the same room for a long time together without fighting, but I think from a distance, I think I've always really looked up to you, and always been kind of a faraway hero. As much as I didn't want to admit it, I think a lot of things about you I wanted to be. So I think, Jen, you're just as lucky to have him. And yeah, you guys are an amazing couple. I hope I do half as good. So I guess my advice would be, I look at the two of you right now and how happy you are and how in love you are. And I think that's an amazing thing. And I think how amazing it is to see the two of you together and see how in love you are. And just don't lose that. It's easier said than done, I'm sure, and I'm sure it's hard for me to say. I've never been married, never really dating anyone. But I think it was fun. And, I just say keep that, and keep making each other better. Like Lisa said, I don't mean to add, but you definitely have become a team, an amazing team. And I wish you the best of luck. Thanks.
Now you know what to say to Chris.
Go Bulls.
Okay.
What? Oh, there's nothing to say.
I just was thinking about my favorite memory of you two, and I went to spring formal with Jen through Delta Gamma, and that's not really a good idea because she shows up, and I had been like getting ready for like 2 hours, and I look like half as good as she looks on a normal day, and she comes in, and I'm like, all right. So she comes in, she's totally beautiful, and we went and got Matt, and then we went to get my date, and he wasn't there. So I was like, okay, this is a great night. But so we were waiting there for him to come, which I know I'm a loser, but it was funny because I really was not worried, because watching you two, honestly, I was like, no fair. I could have sat there all night and just watched you two. Honestly, I'd rather do that than have gone on my date. So I would just say it was unbelievable to me how, I think that's when I became totally in love with you two together, because it was so cute. And I would just say like they kind of said, just if you stay half that way, you guys will be so happy. So that's all.
My advice, I always come to Jen for advice, so we'll just be giving it back. But I was reading in Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, and I know I don't do it justice, and I should have brought it, but they make some analogy of when you're being in love, like that thrill is so exciting, and just like when you go to a place to live that's so beautiful, like I always think Driggs, and how you get used to it and you take it for granted, but that's kind of when the real core like begins, kind of like when all that fades out and all the love, that's when the best times start, even. So, best is yet to come.
How long was it before you did
Be you, Driggs.
I'm no expert either on the subject, but
Wrong
but I was just thinking that there was one time just a little while ago that Jen, Kristen, and I were talking, and Jen was just kind of talking about their relationship and how it's kind of become so much better lately, and just the way, like, how it's just the way she was talking, she just sounded like so mature and stuff, and I'm like, that's when it like really hit me that she's like really getting married, and but just it's kind of, I guess, her own advice that she kind of was saying, like, I'm gonna give it back to her, but I also was asking my sister advice, and it was kind of the same thing, and it was how when you do have problems, I mean, it's inevitable that in any relationship you'll have your little problems that will come along, but when you do, it's that you need to go to each other and discuss it and, talk about what is bothering you, because it's like, and those are the times that will probably even make you stronger. And so I guess that, and Jen just talked about, like, that's what they came to. They finally talked about everything that came out, and it's made them so much stronger, because even look at them now. And it'll probably make their marriage even so much stronger. So I guess just remember that as the years go by.
Well, let's see. I think of marriage as having a lot of parts, and I like the statement that if you're going to embrace a butterfly, you have to get to know a few caterpillars. And I think in watching the two of you, I just think you've really embraced the butterfly. I really do. I think that you have really, though we have been away and have just kind of gotten things through Elisa and Jen when we can, it seems like you've really had a wonderful dating experience, and I think you've really come together in a beautiful way and embraced that butterfly, and you have learned a lot in the process, and you've really created and forged a very, very strong and eternal relationship that is very apparent in seeing you as you went through the endowment part of your temple for Jen recently. That was just abundantly clear. And I hope that you'll remember that process of embracing butterflies. There will be some things along the way as you are married, and I think that that certainly is saying, go for the positive, make each other better. And I think that's what you have done, and what I think you have created a pattern, and you'll continue to do that. And we just know this is going to be a wonderful marriage, and we just couldn't be happier. We love you both so much.
Jason.
I'm the cameraman.
You're all
But I am prepared for that.
There's the three of us.
Well, I think that that Matt is a proof of one of my favorite sayings. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. I mean, blind squirrels must exist. I mean, they're feeling around the forest floor, running into trees, picking up rocks, thinking it's nuts. That's how they share a rocks. And so, Jan, you're a good nut. But I think it was serious side. Maybe I don't think it's serious side, but I think that in the short time that we've been married, that happiness is just a choice. That's all that prevents you from being happy. It's just choosing to be happy. I mean, there's little things which come up all the time that you might get mad because your wife uses the remote for a night, or change the channels, or makes you clear your dishes after you eat. You kind of get mad at each other sometimes, but that happens. But what you can choose not to have happen is to let it go on and be sad and be mad at each other. And what we find it just takes just deciding, hey, we want to be happy tonight. We don't want to be mad. We don't want to be sad. And probably, I guess, a poem saying on that side is Robert Frost wrote once. It was a great.
Emphasis on the frost.
Yeah, Robert. He's the old Kaysville guy. Old Bob went to Davis High. Robert Frost said a poem once, and I first read it and I thought that it was a very negative poem, but I now think it's a poem about seizing the moment and not letting life go on, but deciding you want to be happy. The poem is called "Nothing Gold Can Stay," and I think the poem is, if I can remember it, that nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. So Eden sank down to grief, so dawn goes down to day. Nothing gold can stay. So his message was to, even though the first sign of spring was a flower, the most delicate plant, so it was up to us to take advantage of that time and not let it pass us by choosing not to look at it. Well,
Jason, you're a poet.
here we go. Let me embarrass other people.
Jenny, what would you like to have?
Well,
The pilot light. See how you're doing here.
Well, I just, let's see, with the short time we've been married, the advice I can give, just to know that the project is an ongoing one, but they improve with time now. Jason is doing really well, and learning things he goes. No, it's been great, but I just want to say I am so excited to have another Jenny Soulier in the family, and how great it is, and also take this time to thank the Souliers for such welcome arms and making us feel so much a part of their family, and love that they've just shared so immediately and deeply, and I'm just grateful for that, and welcome you. Thank you.
Mr. Soulier.
I'd like to say, first of all, that you're both very fortunate from such wonderful parents. And the love that you have for each other is so genuine, it will grow. And as years go by, you'll remember it. And although you'll have some adversities, you'll always remember the great love you had for each other. And it's something that you'll remember all your life. And I'm sure it's something that will keep you together and something that you'll always cherish. There's so many couples that get married and